So here's how this little item was shipped. Pretty big box. It's not a bad box. It's pretty thick. It's a good box. They wrapped it in some of this bubble wrap here. Decent amount of bubble wrap, but I also packed the corners with some paper. And down there is particularly what I want to show in the video before I show the computer. That little corner right there. What do you think that did to the computer? Well, here is the result of that impact with having bubble wrap and not foam or something else that would absorb the impact. The whole bottom handle right here, which I guess is more of a foot, leg, or whatever, is tweaked. And you can see that it's actually been pulled away from the rivets right here and along back in here too, up to about here. So I'm going to have to try to bend this back. It's also got a little bit of a bow right here, and if I have enough room to turn this, there's also, you can see the bend right here in it. This is the side that was laying against that spot in the box where I showed you that deformation of the cardboard. So it definitely got dropped right there on this side of the computer, and it shifted this whole aluminum base right here over and popped it off its rivets, and also put a little bit of a bow in it right here. So I'm going to have to straighten that out. Otherwise, though, it looks like it's here. It's complete. The door is in nice shape, and for the most part, the other side's got a black scuff on it that's not in the photos, so it's a little bit of a disappointment there. Let me zoom out here. But yeah, this is a dual 2.5 G5 machine. Dual processors, not dual core. And it's quite a nice machine. I really like these machines. I think they're just absolutely beautiful. I do have a plan for this machine. I was going to fix this thing up and just resell it because I've got another one on the way that I got for cheaper. But now that the case has been damaged here, depending on how that looks when I try to fix it there, I don't know. I may not be able to resell this thing. There's not a whole lot of value in these right now. That's why it might be a good time to buy one of these if you want to collect a nice G5. But this one was pretty well equipped from Apple. It was spec'd pretty well. As you can see, I've got the video card pulled out of it here, and it's pretty dusty. This is actually a 9800, a Radeon 9800, and you can confirm that this is what the machine came with, because you can see right on the label right here, R9800 XT. Came with a 56K modem, which I must be on board. I haven't quite looked at that. Final Cut Express, dual processor, 2.5 gigahertz PCI X, and it's also an AGP Pro video card. Quite a substantial AGP Pro video card. Pretty nice, actually. 9800 XT. That's pretty close to top of the line for this year of Mac to have been spec'd. It was only spec'd with 1 gigabytes of RAM, DDR400. But there is 4 sticks in here. So I don't know what the total amount of RAM is. I'm guessing 2 gigabytes, but we will find out if I can get this thing to actually power up. These things are pretty easy to work on for the most part, unless you got to pull the logic board out of them. You got the fan right here. This is one of 2 fans that blows through this G5 cooling tower right here. And this cover can be a bit of a tricky thing to get off, and I don't know if I can get it off. I put it back on, and I guess I put it back on really well. I'm gonna have to get the screwdriver out to pry on that a little bit. But what's behind here is something kind of fun. Alright, I got the cover popped off here, so just see what's behind here. That's right, folks, this is a water-cooled machine. The other machine that I've got coming is also water cooled. But we'll get into that when I get that computer and do a video on that. For now, I'll talk about this machine. It doesn't look like the water cooler has leaked on this, which is a common problem with these machines. However, it looks like it started to try. You can see a little bit of a buildup right there on the pipe. But it hasn't, the mat down here, the pig mat, isn't soaked, isn't wet. So that's a good thing, because you got the power supply right down here. And the way Apple designed this is that you've got 4 different cooling zones. So you've got a zone right here, which is where the power supply is. That's why it's isolated with this aluminum plate right here, this base. This is a heat zone right here for the processors and the RAM. And you've got fans back here, and you've got those 2 up here that I pulled out. And you've got a 3rd zone right here for your expansion cards. Video card would go right there. Then you've got a 4th zone for your CD-ROM and your hard drive, which is this one fan right here. Actually, there's a 2nd fan way in the back. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a blower fan back in there. See if I can zoom in on that. I don't know if it's going to focus. I should get better light on this thing, but anyway, yeah, you can kind of see it right there. But there's actually 2 fans back there. So the one thing that's obviously, this is missing the hard drives. It came with 2 250 gigabyte SATA drives. The other problem too is that it's missing the screws that would have held the drives into the slots right here. These are, the top one up there is a real pain in the ass to get out of here. It's really interesting how they were able to do that, but it's still a pain in the ass because it kind of slides out at an angle. You got to slide it up in there at an angle, and then it kind of pushes up, and then you got these little locking tabs right here. These things right here that you flip down, and that's what keeps the hard drive in place. Neat idea, but like I said, it's still a pain in the ass. This is, I think this is one of the nicest cases ever made for computers. It's solid aluminum, but despite that, the damn thing still weighs 50 pounds. It's amazing how heavy aluminum can get when it's pretty thick. These cases are, you know, I'm not planning on doing this, but you could do a mod on these things, because you could put a, with a little bit of creative cutting back here on this aluminum, you could put a micro AT case, motherboard in this case, or a ITX. You got enough slots up here to do it, and this motherboard is just basically, you know, the configuration's basically ATX. It's not obviously ATX, but it's in the same, it's basically an upside down ATX. It's not ATX, but it's the same kind of, you get the idea. Okay, so you got the ports back here. You got some digital outputs right here, some optical digital outputs. You got some USB ports, FireWire. This has got the FireWire 800 down here, which is kind of cool. And you got Ethernet, and there's the modem right there. And this computer can be equipped with a what's the word I'm looking for? Airport Extreme. Though I don't see, I'm not sure, I'm sure this model would have been, because this is a pretty high-end model, but I'm not seeing a place for it to have gone. It's been a while since I've worked on one of these, and it's been probably about 8 or 9 years since I've really actually had to work on one of these, so I'm a little bit rough on all my Apple knowledge, training of these G5s, but yeah, I don't see the Apple Airport. I don't remember what it looks like. Oh, no, there it is right there. It's up there. Yep. So it does have the Extreme card in it. So yeah, it's pretty well spec'd from Apple right there. And this thing's got 8 DDR RAM slots, so you can put 8 gig of RAM in it. So I'm going to get the vacuum out here. I'm going to set the camera on the tripod. I'm going to vacuum this thing out, and we'll do a little bit of high-speed video action there and mute it with some music so you don't hear the vacuum. And we'll give this thing a little bit of a power on test here, see if this thing actually works or not. Fan's pretty, it's kind of clogged. It's not too bad. I was going to say it's pretty clogged, but it's really not. that bad. There was a pretty heavy layer of dust on the connector right here, and there's also quite a bit of dust packed into that AGP Pro slot right there as well. So I'm going to get that vacuumed up, hit that with some electrical contact cleaner, and vacuum up this video card as well, get it all nice and clean. Apple also put a little rubber spacer right here so the card contacts this, lays on, what do you want to call it, on this aluminum panel right here, so it doesn't warp. Kind of a neat idea. So yeah, the other computer I've actually got a full-length video card coming for it, which would go into that, fit into that slot right here. It's actually a card from a Dell, so I'm going to have to flash the BIOS in order for it to work with the Mac. But that's going to be an interesting project and for another video. Alright, so what I'm basically doing here is just, I'm worrying about some of the large clumps of dust in here. There's a lot of really fine dust on everything in here. I vacuumed out the video card a little bit. It's going to need some more cleaning as well as everything else. But I got the majority of the large, thick built-on clumps taken care of, so that'll be good enough for now. I'm going to shoot this slot down here. Some contact clean. I'm going to shoot all of them while I'm in here. Might as well. This may end up being a complete teardown and stuff like that to clean it. Can of air, a paintbrush, and a vacuum will probably do just as good. I may try that first. If it doesn't work all that well, we'll just disassemble it. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, it's all fine and dandy, but you can't run anything newer than Leopard on that computer. Au contraire, mon capitaine. That's not entirely so. If you're sticking to just Apple OS X, well, that would technically be true. 10.5.8 is the end of the world for a G5 based computer. But if you expand your area to Linux, well, you're still kind of limited, but you do have some options. So will this thing be running 10.5.8 or will it be running Linux at some point? Well, we'll have to find out in a future video, but for now I just want to see if this thing is actually capable of turning on. But like I said, I'll probably end up just reselling this machine if I can. And because once I have the other one, I won't need this one. Because the other one is the top-of-the-line G5 model, and I'll just leave it there for now. And I paid less for that than I did this one. Lucky bid on that one. So let's find out here if this thing's going to work. I need to get the shroud thing back in here. Just kind of clips on like that. I need to get the pain in the ass. No, I can leave that off for now. I just need to put this back on. Am I doing that the right way? Yes. And this just pops out. It's got a little plug right here for the power. And he just slides right on home here. This upper tray which it's kind of interesting the way Apple did this, because this tray is just screwed into the back. And the only bracing you really have on this tray is the cover, the G5 cover that goes over the processor heat sinks, or in this case the water cooler and radiator assembly. And then the fan that I just plugged in here, because it also attaches to the bottom panel as well, slides into both. So yeah, let's find out if this thing's going to actually work. The one thing, let's see, that thing is, oh, that water block's dated September 20th, 2004 down in there. One thing I'm going to have to look at is if you can, I know you can, because you can obviously take the hoses off, but I'd like to see what the process is of refilling one of these water cooling units. I'd like to get it, well, I'd like to get it freshened up if it's low on fluid. But let's find out here if this thing's going to work. This thing propped up here. And we'll get the side cover back in so it doesn't complain too much about its little cover missing here. Okay, look at, there we go. I kind of like the idea of just leaving this open and putting some LEDs in here, LED fans in here. That'd be pretty cool. So let's get the monitor. Let's get the monitor plugged up here. Alright, so nothing has blown up yet, and I heard the relay and the power supply click. So let's see what we've got here. Do we have just a tornado of air? Or do we actually have a somewhat working system here? So far it sounds happy. I'm not seeing anything on the monitor yet. Oh, there we go. Just heard the chime. The chime of happy. Will we actually get a picture on the monitor? Because for all I know, the video card might be toast. And that looks like it might be the case, but we did have a chime, so that means the logic board is good, the processors are good, the RAM is good. It's just that video card appears to not be too happy here. Alright, I reseated that video card again, and look at what we've got. We have got life. Sweet, sweet, sweet. It's a good day when things go pretty much right. The water cooler does sound like it might be just a little bit gurgly. When I had the side cover off here, which I'm going to pull off right now. Let me just turn the camera so you can see that fun little action there. Those fans kick up to full speed. I do have a little bit of a rattle there. It kind of sounded like that was a little bit... It's got a weird sound there too. I think that one of those pumps, or both of them, might be a little bit low on water. And let's see here. Do we have? We don't have too much heat. Yeah, the radiators are pretty warm though. But I do think that rad unit is a little bit low probably, so I'm going to have to see if there's a way to check that. There is a fill plug up on the top there, but I think the easier way is going to be just to unplug the hoses right there. So far it seems like it's pretty happy. Close that down because it's not happy now. That fan is blowing a lot of air right there. Let's close that back down there. Yeah, those water coolers might not be doing their job here. Fan's kicking up on full speed. You know, they feel pretty warm though, those rads. That's kind of weird. It didn't do that before. Huh. Well, anyway, at least we've got a working G5 computer. I'm going to do a little bit more cleaning up and fixing up of it, but this is just kind of an initial unboxing and testing of this machine, and just kind of evaluating what I need to do to it. So thank you for watching, everyone, and we'll see you again right here on the Wayback Tech channel. Peace out, everyone.